So if you're drinking tap water, you might want to think twice because it's pretty toxic.
Let's talk about tap water. And here I have to take a deep breath, not a deep gulp, but a deep breath, because in researching tap water and what's contained in tap water in different regions, not just in the US, but around the world, I confess the picture is a pretty scary one. Here, I'm not somebody who naturally orients towards fear. However, in researching tap water for this episode, by way of looking at the peer-reviewed research, meta-analyses, reviews, specific research articles where specific hypotheses were tested, and in talking with experts in toxicology and so on, it's a pretty grim picture, frankly, when one looks at what's contained in most tap water and whether or not the compounds that are contained in tap water are present in sufficient concentrations to negatively impact our health. And the bad news is that much, if not all tap water, believe it or not, much, if not all tap water contains things that are bad for the biology of our cells.
Edward Bernays. He worked for dozens of major American corporations, including Procter & Gamble and General Electric, and for government agencies, politicians, and nonprofit organizations. Of his many books, Crystallizing Public Opinion and Propaganda gained special attention as early efforts to define and theorize the field of public relations. Let's go through what he did. Okay, 4 out of 5 dentists agree. It's all a lie. All of that stuff is a lie. Fluoride. Let's just talk fluoride alone. He was hired to buy an aluminum company who had a byproduct that was basically fluoride. It was this sludge that was building up. And they hired him to convince local governments to put it into their water supply. What he did was he reached out to a bunch of his doctor and dentist friends and relatives, and he got them to write letters saying that fluoride was good for your smile, that it was healthy for teeth. He convinced local populations because of an appeal to authority, it's called engineered consent, to put poison in their water. It was because he was working for an aluminum company. He convinced women to smoke. He called them freedom torches. This is not old. Lies are old. On this mass scale, where one guy can work for a company and do this. Poison, they took industrial sludge and waste and they agreed to put it in their fresh water. It was, you can track this.
Fluoride in the water thing is so sketchy. Have you ever looked into whether or not fluoride should be in the water?
Health. Right now, everybody needs to stop drinking tap water. Tap water is poisonous. Tap water is poisonous because water is extremely important. Your entire body, most of your body, is composed of water. Why would you not be giving yourself the best source of water to nurture yourself, right?
One of the many side effects of fluoride is a lowering of the IQ, a hardening of the pineal gland.
And you don't drink tap water. Okay, it's like horrible for you. Heavy metal toxicity, aluminum. I told him, bro, fluoride. There's a commercial that came in New York City, bro. The mayor of New York City says tap into good health, and he's like telling everybody drink tap water, bro.
No, but it wasn't just like an iPhone production. It was a full
production, like tap into good health, marketing campaign
lighting,
behind tap water.
Smiling. Yeah, you can be healthy. Drink tap water.
Especially if you live in the southern part of the United States, where there are very high levels of estrogen that can not only affect men by shutting down their testosterone, but it can also put a woman into estrogen dominance. Not to mention you also have fluoride, which affects the thyroid. It also affects your skin. And then you have another chemical called chloramine, which is a combination of chlorine and ammonia. Not good for your body. The legal dose of these chemicals that are accepted in tap water does not mean that they're safe in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the legal limits of these contaminants have not been evaluated for 20 years. And the one that I went to showed how high those chemicals are compared to the legal dose that is recommended. First one, bromodichloromethane, okay? That's a chemical that causes cancer. It was at levels of 52 times where it should be. That's crazy. Then we have chloroform, which is 7 times more than it should be. Then you have haloacetic acid, which is 247 times what it should be. Nitrates, 10 times more than it should be. And then another one called TTHM, which was 306 times higher than it should be. 4 out of the 5 chemicals are known to cause cancer. So I have 2 filters. So I got another filter for fluoride.
If you are somebody who is interested in whether or not tap water contains things like endocrine disruptors, hormone disruptors that can negatively impact reproductive health in males or females or both, there's a wonderful review, wonderful because it's so thorough, although the news isn't great, it's very thorough, which is entitled Endocrine Disruptors in Water and Their Effects on the Reproductive System. This is a review from 2020 that analyzes water from a bunch of different sources within the world and essentially focuses on a few key components. Many people don't realize this, but is the concentration of so-called DBPs, which are disinfection byproducts contained in water. Those disinfection products create things called disinfection byproducts. And the presence of those DBPs, or disinfectant byproducts, can strongly impact the pH of water. Oftentimes will introduce things to that water that are not good for us. Now, it's very clear that DBPs can cause endocrine disruption in ways that are not good for reproductive health. This is involved in the generation of healthy eggs and sperm and creating healthy embryos, implantation embryos, and so forth. It's very clear that DBPs have been shown to disrupt ovarian function, spermatogenesis, and fertility outcomes, even at concentrations of DBPs that are present in drinking water that comes from the tap.
That is so toxic, and it's so small, the particles are so small, that you have to use reverse osmosis to get out of the water.
You can utilize a reverse osmosis machine.
Now, in terms of reverse osmosis water, what is reverse osmosis water? Reverse osmosis water is water that has been passed repeatedly through a series of filters that are designed to remove the kinds of contaminants we were talking about earlier. So some of the basic contaminants like disinfectant byproducts, fluoride, and some other large and small molecules that leaves the water ideally still containing magnesium and calcium, although there's like the taste of reverse osmosis water. They report it as feeling more smooth. They think of reverse osmosis water as quote unquote giving them energy.